Ladies and gentlemen, the world's #1 sports and recreation podcast, Cheap Heat, is back. I'm supposed to be on vacation, but you know I can't quit you. Or as Emilio would say, you know I can't quit yous. So I'm here. And so is the physically large Statguy Greg.
That's right. Live from Philly.
All the way live from the 215 and all the way live from the 310. It is 37 at 37 Dipperstein. Hey, Dip.
Hi there. How you doing? Nice to see you.
Really, really good. I will start with Dip because I know more about SGG's feelings, and so do people who are in the Discord, because SGG was active on Saturday night. Dip, we have not heard word one from you. What were your thoughts of SummerSlam?
You mean WrestleMania?
Not at one night. That's next year.
Yeah, no, it was one night. It was back. It was a throwback one night WrestleMania. What were your thoughts on WrestleSlam?
It was WrestleMania SummerSlam. That's what it was.
Yeah, it very much was.
I'm so happy that there is enough wrestling buzz on Earth right now, and the company is doing extremely well fandom wise that we can sell out an arena or a football stadium to see SummerSlam. However, you know, it felt like WrestleMania to me. So and now I'm like, how are they going to make WrestleMania feel special when you have, basically the same exact presentation minus a little bit of the pageantry every summer for 2 nights starting next year in August. So to me, like, the show was great and it was a lot of fun. But when you see that football stadium and it's under the same sort of, lighting fixtures, and it's sort of the entrance takes the same amount of time, and it's down that big ramp, and you see those wide shots.
No big ramp. That's part of the problem.
Not ramp, our big entranceway.
Yes.
It doesn't seem as special as WrestleMania won't seem as special this year. But that said, I'm happy. I'm happy that there's this many fans that can sell out the Brown Stadium who want to see SummerSlam. So it was sort of a double-edged sword.
I thought that was Dip and I spoke on the phone over the weekend, and I did think that was a very interesting take that hadn't crossed my mind yet, is that what are you going to do as the years go on to differentiate SummerSlam from WrestleMania? And at first, I know I can already hear the power of positivity people being like, of course Dip wants to come on and ruin SummerSlam. But it is a really worthwhile and interesting conversation if you believe that WrestleMania is this thing that is the showcase of the immortals. It is different than everything, right? Like, everything is laid on the line on that day. It is bigger, it is badder, it is whatever. Dip's not wrong that having a stadium show 3.5 months later, also in the U.S., and soon to be, I don't know if they know it's next year 2 nights yet, do they?
I think they said it was going to be 2 nights. I don't know if it's next year, but I think it might be 2020.
No, definitely the one after. For sure, the one after, right?
Yeah.
I do think, Dip, it's a worthwhile conversation about what do you do to differentiate SummerSlam from WrestleMania? Because it's hard. You can't make everybody feel equally special. That's like, I mean, then guess what? Nobody feels. And like, if you have 2 girlfriends and you treat them both like they're
that's Dom's problem that he solved on Saturday. We're going to get to that.
Exactly. And what did Dom do? He chose one.
I just want to say,
but hold on, before you jump in, Dip, I'll say Dip answered his own question though about how you make WrestleMania feel more special than SummerSlam, right? It is going to be in what made WrestleMania feel special in the first place. It's going to be in the pageantry, in bringing in the celebrities, in making everything feel like a big deal, not just in terms of what happens in the ring, but like that long ramp that's going to be there to set up that huge stage.
I don't think either of those things will be there.
I think they will. I mean, they were there this year in Philly. There was a long ramp with a huge stage with a good set presentation.
I don't know if they will have a huge stage and long ramp, though, now that they want to sell every ticket 360. I don't know that we're going to get that.
You may, but this was just, there was no, like, if SummerSlam this year, by the way, I really love the show, and it was, the angles were well constructed, and it was the presentation, like, as far as what occurred in the ring and stuff was great. But it was like WrestleMania, like, if they were to have taken the opportunity to make like a beautiful stage and entranceway for SummerSlam, and then, made sort of the entrance more than just like a walkway, and like done like a big SummerSlam stage with the sand and the beach and made it seem summery, then I would have maybe like felt a different way about having it in the arena, in the stadium. But it was just like, it was just a stripped down sort of WrestleMania, but with the same size crowd. So to me, it was like,
And SGG, they did have, you said the celebrity thing. The celebrity thing was very big.
Yeah,
it was celebrity'd out a storm.
Jelly roll galore. I mean,
but
how much
MGK.
jelly roll can you
MGK.
get?
It wasn't like,
Come on.
Hey, chill out. It was Cleveland, man.
You're ignoring the jelly roll thing completely.
Yeah. The jelly roll spot
thing
was
huge.
very
But they've done that at
WrestleMania
SummerSlams too, though. Like, and they're gonna have bands performing people's entrances. The whole nine. Like WrestleMania, they do go all out, and it's not things that we only see at WrestleMania. Like we see bands performing entrances at other times. We see musical performances at other times. There was a musical performance at the Royal Rumble recently, but I think when they put the pageantry to it, like Dip said, they save a little bit of that sparkle for WrestleMania every year.
Well, listen, you are both equally speculating on what it's going to be, because we don't. Last year there was not a lot of sparkle and pageantry.
At all.
No, well, last year WrestleMania there was not a ton of sparkle and pageantry or a huge impressive stage. Like that was a bit stripped down.
Are you talking about Mania XL or Hollywood?
Mania XL.
Mania XL. I mean, look, they had Lil Wayne performed. The stage looked nice. I think they wanted to highlight.
Stage was okay. It wasn't a Mania stage. It wasn't. I think
they wanted to highlight
stage.
the XL with it being 40. I think that's what the big thing was. Instead of like the Hollywood theater that they would do, or like the city thing, I think they leaned more in on the 40 than
or SGG, or as I've said many times, nothing's ever going to be the same. By the way, I don't know if you guys are aware of this. There's a big thing going on right now. It's called the election. And what everyone's voting for is who the number one person who leads the company known as the United States will be. And the reason everybody cares is
the company is fucking perfect, by the way, given the state of this nation.
So everyone cares a lot about who the leader of the company will be, because when you change that person, guess what? Things change. And the most important person in the history of WWE is gone. So there are these things that will change. And so it is going to be very interesting to see. And maybe it will turn into something awesome where we're like, oh, no. Mania feels gigantic and is this way. And SummerSlam feels gigantic and is this way. But I think Dip's initial point of they're going to have to figure out a way to differentiate, I think that's a really valuable thing. I hope it's something people think about, because I think it's a really valuable conversation to have.
I would say in general, the card delivered in a major way. I feel like the angles sort of all culminated incredibly well, starting with Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan and Dominic. That was an amazing way to start the show.
Yeah, it was. That was a good start.
And it sort of just continued from there. It was a very entertaining show, and I thought Raw was very entertaining, minus a few things that made no sense. But look,
what was your guys' favorite thing? SGG. Let me go back to SGG for a second. SGG, your favorite besides Roman's return?
Yeah, of course. Which was everybody's favorite thing. Let's be honest.
I don't know. Was that? I don't know if that was everybody's favorite thing. It was the biggest thing for sure.
I think that was the consensus, like, oh my God, I can't believe this has happened thing. Even though we all expected it.
How could anyone feel that way?
Even though we all expected it, it was just like, because they actually get to experience it, I think that it took people to that place.
I mean, I thought it was really good. It felt really good and was a fun moment. But what was your favorite match of the night?
I like the CM Punk and Drew McIntyre match a lot. I think I didn't know what I was going to expect. And I know we talked about this previously on this show, is that you definitely don't want CM Punk to get injured on his first night back. So that might mean not going 100 miles per hour throughout the whole thing. But I like that they leaned into the storytelling of it. I like that Seth got involved by the end. I like that Seth took that GTS. And I think it really did set them up for where they're going to go next, which we saw a little bit last night on Raw, but I don't want to jump ahead. But for me, that was the best match of the night, just because of how, like, the storytelling met the moves and everything mattered, and it pushed everything and everyone forward.
Dipperstein?
I would agree. I think that might have been the best match on the card. I also really enjoyed the first angle with the makeout, even though there was a mustache involved.
Yeah, the Judgment Day stuff too, I think, was huge.
The Judgment Day stuff, the whole disillusionment of the Judgment Day and the breaking down of the Judgment Day, I think, was the best part of SummerSlam.
Yeah. And it was both two predictable things that we saw, but I think the way they executed it was very well. And Dom, yeah, like he tipped his hand. And Pete, I thought back up to the Raw a couple of weeks ago when Dom yelled at Liv and she went off crying. And you were right, but a thing that I didn't notice that happened at SummerSlam also was that Rhea was about to destroy Liv that Monday and at SummerSlam, and it didn't happen because Dom held her back, which is something that he has never, ever done in the entire time that he's been in Judgment Day, was hold Rhea back. And I think that was the tell that the turn was coming, because he held her back, he took the chair, and then he slid that same chair over to Liv to wrap it up.
That is an interesting point. And I talked about this on the post show that I did the other day. Yeah, I don't know why people were so confused about the crying thing from Liv Morgan. It seems very clear, even clearer in retrospect, but was clear at the time that those were crocodile tears. Like, I thought that's what it was supposed to look like, was crocodile tears. Like, this girl obviously isn't upset. Rhea was the gullible one for thinking that might have been real. But yeah, that to me was awesome, and it got us to a great place for yesterday. And to carry it into Raw, I was glad to see that at least they started out clearly leaning into the Priest-Rhea relationship. Because to me, that's where it's at. You don't want to separate them right away. It should be them against the old Judgment Day. That's what this should be.
And
it was very well constructed there.
It's
totally
so funny
agree.
too that
I hope they stay there, and I think I said this on Saturday night, and I hope at some point we get a Priest-Rhea romantic relationship as well. I think that would be major.
Those are very tall people in a relationship.
They go together perfectly, and you run it like a friendship. They just have each other's back. They're really just close friends who are against the new Judgment Day. But then at some point in like 2 months, it becomes like Ross and Rachel. And you're like, are they like, what's going on here? And then if they were to then have that moment, whatever you thought was big between, I think, Dominic and Rhea, I think would feel even bigger at the time between Priest and Rhea. And then you could have a really awesome mixed tag match. There's like a lot of fun things you could do there.
I would like to see a macabre wedding.
Oh my God, the macabre wedding.
I would like to see a macabre wedding between Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley with skull candles and
Uncle Elmer.
Uncle Howdy's going to be the officiant. You know that.
Right. Oh yeah, you have Uncle Howdy because it's a macabre wedding. Uncle Howdy's the officiant. That's Mage. Other big takeaways from last night. I was a little surprised.
Yeah.
Shoemaker seemed to think when I spoke to him, and others did as well, that Punk and Drew would be done, and we would move on now into Punk Seth.
I did as well,
but that is clearly not the case.
Because, I got to be honest. So CM Punk loses this match. He came out last night to a little less fanfare. I thought it was very noticeable. He loses this match and like he starts being calling like a major babyface promo, and I don't know if people were buying it. I wasn't buying it as like I was last week.
I kind of felt like the fans were sitting on their hands most of last night.
That's what I was gonna say.
SGG, I feel like most of the loud reactions were piped in. Like I like during the Priest match, there was like all this cheering, and I'm like, the fans behind him aren't doing anything. Like there wasn't cheering, and that happened throughout. Like I kept Wyatt 6. I kept looking up and like looking for the fans, and I'm like, they're not really doing anything.
The return of the piped-in noise,
and you didn't even notice it, Dip. You didn't even.
I mean,
you didn't even.
It wasn't. Well, because you know what they didn't do. All they did. I by the way, I'm speculating, but this is what it felt like. They didn't do the ridiculous murmur. That's always.
I hate
that's really. That's really what Dip was reacting to. He noticed the murmur all the time. They would allow it to be quiet, but in the pop spots, they would just put in pops and boos. That they
were clearly just like using a crossfader. like up and down, and you could hear all of a sudden it would just be dead.
Right. And then all of a sudden there's like this, everyone's talking. So without the murmur, I think you can pull. But listen, I could be wrong, but visually, the Baltimore crowd to me last night looked a little flat. And I would say that was my biggest complaint about Cleveland, too. It was a long night, it was hot. But basically, from the Nia Bailey match until the Cody match, it was kind of quiet.
Yeah. Last night was quiet for sure. But like CM Punk, I hated that promo last night. He comes out and he's like, "I lost, and that's what happened, but I'm back, and I'm still here." That's like, no.
I mean,
you got to do better than that.
You're being overly critical because I mean, he says it right in the promo that Drew made promises that he didn't keep. Technically, he got the victory, but he promised all this destruction of CM Punk. And he just didn't happen. He didn't deliver, and CM Punk's ready to fight him again and keep it going. And if you think you're done with him, you're not. I don't think that it was.
I don't need to see it again.
Sure.
Well, I feel like his response, him saying "I lost, but I'm back," that's like almost too close to real life.
It wasn't "I lost, but I'm back" though. It was like, "I lost the match, but you didn't destroy me. Like you didn't put an end to me. I'm still here, and you still have something that I want." Because Drew does eventually still show up with that bracelet that also, I wouldn't say caused all the drama, but for it to be just a bracelet, it is causing a lot of drama.
Are we allowed to say that they're doing too much with the bracelet?
I think so.
Yeah,
especially considering
yes,
what I found out this weekend, which is that I think it's a fan-made bracelet and not like a sentimental gift that was given to him.
No, I think it's a fan-made bracelet that he started to wear, and that's it.
And did he ever acknowledge that it was fan-made on the?
I when you just said that, I know that I'd heard it before, so I don't know if he said it, but like, I mean, listen, I actually have a couple of bracelets like that do have sentimental meaning. I'm not
from
saying
fans at the
no. From that are like real, actual, personal things, right? But like enough to go to war over. I mean, as Big E said on the post show, it's not actually your dog and your wife.
No, I was gonna say, and whenever they bring up the bracelet, he gets more riled up about Larry. Do you notice that Larry's name is the one that's being thrown around on TV all the time?
Well, I think that may be just because they don't want to mention AJ that much on TV.
I mean, but still.
I mean, or maybe it's like, listen, AJ can handle herself. She's a wrestler, but Larry's just a little dog. Okay. What's he supposed to do? And it's mean because Drew calls him ugly, and Larry is ugly. I mean, listen, an ugly, cute dog way, but still, he's tapping into something that's a real feeling that exists.
With Pharaoh retiring from not necessarily in-ring competition, but on-screen appearances, are we going to get to see more Larry?
Yeah. By the way, put Larry on TV, dude. You got to show up with Larry. He needs to cut a promo with Larry in the ring. Stop! Don't be a coward, Punk. Bring Larry.
No, the next time they're in Chicago, Drew needs to show up to Punk's house and then get run out of the place by Larry.
No. Wouldn't it be great though if he did one of those show up at the house kind of things, and you saw him like walking Larry? He's like, "Oh, hey, Punk, I'm just taking my buddy Larry for a walk here," like scaring him. That would be very good.
That would be great.
He should have been. I don't know. And you see him like feeding him food, and he's got like a bag of food, but then next to it, there's like a bag of something that's clearly poisonous because it has like the thing on the side. He's like, "Oh, I don't know. I hope I don't spill any of this poisonous whatever into Larry's food." Too far. A bridge too far.
That would be great.
A couple other things. I'm glad that now Finn Balor is now the head of something again. It like Finn Balor, we were talking about a couple of weeks ago. He just felt like a mid-card tag team guy with JD McDonough. Now he feels like the head of the Judgment Day again, which is good. I think
he says specifically though, the Judgment Day has no leader. That's his whole problem. I mean,
but he's the leader.
We've come to this. We bring this up every so often with Finn, and like he said it. It's been years now. He's been adamant that Judgment Day has no leader. I'm glad that it's become part of the story, and I think it's kind of coincidental that he kicked out the two people that Edge recruited because they thought they were the leader, and they kicked out Edge because he openly said he was the leader. So I think Finn's not dumb enough to set himself up to be that figurehead, knowing that he directly has been responsible for eliminating the 3 previous figureheads in Judgment Day. That's just stupid.
Here's what I'll say. This is why we keep arguing about everything every week.
Because I pay attention to the stories.
No, you're talking in kayfabe, and I'm talking in reality.
Which is
fine. Which is fine.
Kayfabe is the reality, though. Like, you perceiving him as the leader doesn't make him the leader if he's not gonna acknowledge that and take on that role. It's not like with Roman,
clearly
right?
the leader, Greg. I mean,
it's not like with Roman, right? Where Roman demanded, acknowledge me, I'm the leader. Solo was not the leader of the bloodline, so he built his own bloodline. Finn has this whole time rejected the idea of a leadership
I know,
in the Judgment Day.
But his
problem on screen has been that Priest and Rhea presented themselves as the leader. Even before this Saturday, when Priest was telling him what to do for months before this, you see that look that he gave him? When Priest said that he was above the tag team titles and didn't want to be his equal, do you see the looks that he always gave him? It finally came to a head this past Saturday, but it was all because the Judgment Day has no leader, as Finn has said time and time again, on screen, in interviews. I don't think Finn is now presented as the leader because they eliminated Rhea and Priest.
I understand that, but like in as a fan, it's obvious that Finn will be getting the match at the next pay-per-view with Damian Priest. It's not going to be JD McDonough. It's not going to be Carlito, and it's not going to be Dominic. So it's going to be Finn Balor. So I'm just saying he's like the most important member, or the most dangerous member.
There you go.
Or imposing member. Okay, and he's clearly the mouthpiece, the Jace. So he's the leader.
Not necessarily, because Liv is also going to get the match with Rhea, who was the leader of previously. So if Finn is going after one leader and then Liv is going after another leader, who's the leader?
I know, but Dip's just saying Finn's now going to look better because
I'm not
he's not going to be underneath other people in the Judgment Day. Right. He should be the most prominent star now on the men's side of the Judgment Day for sure.
Yeah,
he'll have JD under him, he'll have Dominic under him, and he'll have Carlito under him.
And then the other thing that I took away from is that they're clearly going to make an effort with Bronson Reed now, which is nice after the many splashes.
Bronson Reed,
splashing and splashing and
there was
splashing.
It was what a tsunami that was. It was just a series of tsunamis. No city by the beach could have ever survived that amount of tsunamis.
No, that's too many tsunamis.
Not at all. And I gotta say too, I really applaud WWE's ability to sort of heat somebody up and make something happen like that. Because when Bronson Reed showed up and he attacked Seth, I was like, all right, Bronson Reed, Seth Rollins, sure. He needed to like elevate, he needed to be involved in something, but okay. And then after about the third or fourth tsunami, I was just like, yo, Bronson Reed is a killer. Like, we need more. we need this.
Somebody was saying it felt like Vader.
I am now very excited to see Bronson Reed, not just against Seth Rollins, but against whoever else thinks they want to stand across the ring.
Isn't it funny?
Bronson Reed.
Isn't it funny how sort of a small, like, not that creative booking thing to do can be so impactful?
Yeah.
like that was nothing. It's like, oh, okay, don't just do 2. Really? How many? 3? No. Keep going. Let's do 5. Let's do 6. When you get up to there, it's just going that far all of a sudden made Bronson Reed something.
Yeah. And clearly it'll be Seth versus Bronson Reed now, which is not interesting to me unless they tell a real story. But I'm glad that they are putting something into Bronson Reed.
The story is going to be some version of, you gave me a lot of tsunamis.
They'll be, yeah.
Exactly.
That's the story.
I don't know.
You whooped my ass, and now I would hopefully try to whoop your ass.
Yeah. It's going to be I'm going to whoop your ass story. I'm going to beat you up.
Which is my favorite kind of stories.
No story. It's your favorite story.
That's what you wanted for Braun Breaker, right? That was his story. I'm whooping ass. I'm spearing everybody. I'm running around the ring. I'm looking impressive. I'm showcasing my skills.
It was different.
And look where Braun Breaker is now.
Different.
That's how you get somebody And that's how you make somebody. It is the same thing they did with Gunther. My story is I wrestle better than you.
You're putting words in my mouth. I never said that I liked the way that they were doing Braun Breaker. I just like Braun Breaker, and I'm excited that he's getting.
And why do you think that? And why do you think that is that you see Braun Breaker on TV and you like him? Because of how they presented him.
I like.
It's not because of his booking necessarily. Though.
No, his booking is Goldberg booking.
No, but his presentation. That's part of the presentation, and now Braun.
Yeah, but that's
a chance to be presented the same way.
Yeah, after 3, 4, or 5 years of him being in the company and just being a big jobber. Low to mid card.
Rosenberg addressed this a little while ago with the leadership change, meaning everything changing, meaning that we're dealing with a little bit of a reset. Because remember, under the previous regime, Bronson Reed, it wasn't 3, 4, 5 years of being in the company. It was 2, 3 years, and then you're fired, and then you're gone, and then Triple H gets the book, and one of the first things he does is bring Bronson Reed back and puts him in these types of positions. And it was hard for him to sort of stand out because you had a Gunther, and you had like a Roman Reigns, and you had a Cody on Raw, and now there's space for Bronson Reed to be able to showcase his skills, and that's exactly what we're getting.
I just think in every I don't like the comp to Braun Breaker. Not everyone who wins matches is Braun Breaker. Braun Breaker is different because of I think the style in which he wrestles. That's the presentation that makes people go, "Oh my God, who is Braun Breaker?" That's what I think.
He's like hard hitting and Goldberg-y, you know.
But I also disagree with Dip in the sense that like not every match on a pay-per-view card, on a PLE card, can be Liv, Rhea, Dominic. Like some are just sometimes it's just people want to kick each other's ass. I mean, like that is at the end of the day, we only have room for so many.
I know, but I'm saying if you're trying to push Bronson Reed to try to make him feel important, they should just tell a story so that like he has some narrative going forward. He has some sort of there's some context for him and some legacy.
Well, listen, hopefully we get somewhere with that. I wonder if they took. Now, by the way, is there a chance we just get it was just to get Seth off TV?
Maybe
it's possible, but to the Bronson Reed thing though, and I feel like I'm saying this every week. I think you're just missing the story because he was in there with Priest. He's been in there with Priest week after week, demanding some competition, demanding to be taken seriously, demanding respect as a competitor. And then he finally broke on Monday and said he's going to take matters into his own hands, which is what he did. I mean, I don't know if that's just not enough story for you, but to say that it's not happening,
it's not enough.
Is not.
No, it's lazy.
That is not reality.
It's lazy. It's just I'm a mid card guy and I don't want to be that anymore, so I'm gonna splash people. That's not a story.
All right. I mean, we just have to respect that we're now in agree to disagree territory and go on to the next topic.
I mean, SGG, is you all right today, bro? Like you're
am.
On everything. You feel that strong about the Bronson Reed story?
Not that I'm that strong, but it's just like you can't say that these things are not happening when on 3 hours of TV. I know it's a lot to
you invent in your head a narrative that is just very weak and not there.
You just disregard the things that they're telling you
because they're disregardable.
That's the thing. SGG, just because I feel like it's you consume the product on like every word is written down. You're like, all right, boom. Now I totally get every thing.
I wish I was more like you.
But Dip consumes the product the way he does. And sometimes if those things don't get through, both of those opinions can be valid. Like by the time we got to Cody and Solo at the PLE.
SummerSlam or the previous one?
No, at SummerSlam.
Yeah.
Your version of what had happened was accurate based on the detailed telling of that story. But my version of, Solo's trying to become the man and Cody's the guy and it's all just going to lead to Roman coming back and it felt kind of like a holding pattern for Cody. That's not wrong either. Like those are both like if I consume the product in that way and that's what I get from week to week because I don't literally go, what did they say in the backstage promo? Did they say, like you're kind of watching it more broad stroke and that's how you feel? That's how you feel. I don't know that either one is more valid than the other. We all landed in the same place.
I didn't say how Dip felt was wrong, but I do encourage him to more pay attention to what's happening on the screen than just come and say there's no story. Because even like him saying it doesn't resonate with me, sure, that's fine. That's no problem. That's valid. But to say that like it doesn't exist or that these are inventions of people's imagination,
I mean, Greg,
It's false.
Greg,
It's false.
I sort of just see it in black and white. Rhea Ripley and a love triangle with Liv Morgan, and that's a story. That is a story being told, and a soap opera-y type story. That is why I love wrestling. And it's interesting, and you don't know where it's going to go, and you want to see it week to week. Bronson Reed not getting his shot and being booked like shit for the last 3 years, and finally interfering in a promo with Seth Rollins is not a story. That is just, they're going to present him in a more significant way now. That's all it is, in my opinion.
But it's the opening. It's like the preamble to the story. Like it's setting up the story. So to say like it's not a story when the story's getting started, like
I'm not saying it's not a story.
To say it's not a story when
they haven't been telling a story with him. That's what I'm saying.
To say it's not a story on the first page of the story is sort of ridiculous.
I didn't say that. I didn't say it. I didn't say those words.
You literally just said it's not a story. You just said it's not a story.
But you're saying it is a story.
They're starting a story. They're starting the story. Yes, it is a story. They presented it. They set it up. This didn't come out of nowhere.
You're twisting my words. I'm saying that it was
your words are there. It's not a story.
You are twisting my words.
There's no need to twist it.
I am saying they should tell a great story now with Bronson Reed and Seth and try to figure something out that makes it compelling. I'm saying they have not been telling a story with Bronson Reed. He is a very cool guy with a cool move set. He's a big guy. He's attractive to see wrestle in the ring, and he seems imposing, and I like him. But him just wrestling every week and sometimes winning and sometimes losing, and now being deciding he's going to go for a brass ring is not compelling storytelling to me. I hope going forward it's a story. But I think before that, it hasn't been.
I think your timing on that is just a little bit off. Had you said this last week, I don't think you would be getting any pushback from me or really anybody else. But to say this right when they set up the story for Bronson Reed going forward, I think you could have timed that a little bit better.
It's just been 1 week of people caring about Bronson Reed. So we'll see.
I disagree.
There's clearly a reason why he needed to do this, because no one cared, and he was clearly dangling by a thread.
No, I think the reason why he was in the position to do this is because people cared and they want to see more Bronson Reed.
Right. Glass half empty, glass half full.
And they needed to give him a reason to be on screen in a major way.
Is there anything you don't like right now that's happening on television?
I'll flip it back on you. Is there anything that you do like that's happening right now?
Yes, I love the Judgment Day story. I love the CM Punk stuff with Drew McIntyre and Seth Rollins. I love the Bloodline story. That's amazing.
I'm sure you'll love the Roman solo stuff on Friday, which I assume we're going to get into.
Yeah,
I'm very stoked for that.
Something we glossed over too, though. I gotta bring back is Nia Jax on Saturday. I did not expect her to come away with the title. I'm looking forward to see what happens.
I picked that, didn't I?
I think you did. I think you did. I did not. I didn't see it coming. Pleasantly surprised by the win, and that was just a good match too. Bayley surprised me too in that match. That powerbomb, I didn't know she had that in her. That powerbomb.
Yeah, no, that was awesome. Listen, man, I know a lot of people seem to have mixed feelings on Nia Jax for whatever reason, and maybe I have biased feelings because I like her so much personally, but that is, to me, this is the most interesting version of her we've seen. The reason I expected her to win probably was a mix of that, and they have not been presenting Bayley in a great way. So I kind of expected, like, Bayley, when you think about it, kind of just been getting beat up, and she's had the title, but she hasn't felt very champion-like recently.
Yeah. I'll tell you this, though. They presented her the big way on Saturday. Sucks that it was her last day as champ, but I just can't stop thinking about that powerbomb.
Yeah, man. That was big. I think that probably felt pretty. I think it probably didn't feel great. Can I be honest with you? My guess would be didn't feel great. So we talked about it. We didn't get to it with Dip while he was here. He had to go, but I'm kind of playing the role of Dip because Dip seemed to not feel this way. SUG. To be clear, you guys heard oh no, some of you didn't hear the post show. I kept saying the post show like everybody heard it, but that was only
we on
Patreon.
right?
Yeah, so that's why you gotta have Patreon. Patreon.com/DameAge. Guys, my flight got canceled. I drove home from Cleveland and did a 40-minute SummerSlam recap while driving through the mountains in Pennsylvania. So I gave all my thoughts on SummerSlam already, but I thought it was a great show. I will talk some about the Roman return, which was a ball. And yeah, overall, I really just think SummerSlam, like I said, the crowd was flat at certain times, but the overall, each match I thought told a great story. Each match was really good. 7 matches is the right amount. You know, I find those international cards to be just a tad short. Like, I think 5 is short. I think 14 over 2 days is a lot. I think 7 or 8. I think 7 or 8 is, you know, I think Tony, when they do AEW pay-per-views and it's a 10, 11, 12, that's too much. I think 7 is a really sweet spot to have what feels like a major event and feels like a big deal. So in general, love the show. But on Raw, and I told a story that I just will tell. I'll tell this story on the free show as well. Without speaking out of school, the watching Rhea and her reaction backstage to what happened with the Judgment Day embodied everything that you love about wrestling and why you think it's great. Like the actual real emotion about that storyline coming to an end is like, it's everything we love about wrestling. It's when you can't explain to someone, like, why do you love it so much though? And you're like, well, you know, because it's a performance, but it's real, but it's a performance, but it is real. I literally, she was so emotionally affected by the end of this story. And it was just to see how much she loves it and lives it, but also, you know, I think, and this is why I feel comfortable saying it, she speaks very openly and publicly about what those guys mean to her because her family's in Australia. So Dominic really has become this important fixture in her life. So while she's sitting there crying in the ring because Dom is walking off with Liv, while she is not in love with the guy playing Dominic Mysterio on TV, she really is crying because someone really is taking her role. Like, that really is happening. Like, Liv will now travel with Dom. They will now appear at everything together. They will get booed together. They will do all of the things that were Rhea and Dom. And it makes her sad, I think, just because she loves Dom and they're so close and it's a family member who she won't really be around. And also because, like, it's weird. Like, wait, no, but that really was what I did. That really was my gimmick. When she was home watching TV, she really did get legitimately annoyed to see Liv and Dom because she was like, that's my thing. So to see her after it all happened and just how affected she was, guys, if you think you love Rhea, I promise you, getting to be around her in the limited way that I am at these shows, she is everything. She is the realest of deals. Like, she loves this thing more than anyone, cares about it more than anyone, lives it, breathes it, is so good at it. And she's gotten so good, like, in interviews and talking about it and feeling her, like, through her face on television. Like, she's just really, I mean, you know, every 5 to 6 episodes, I like to bring up SGG's Nikki ASH argument. And I will never have another argument that ages better than this. So I'm just gonna keep sitting on it because it's
my CM Punk argument.
Yeah.
It is. So I respect it. I completely and totally respect it. I still stand.
Oh no, yours was more of a random swing though. Yours was really like you closed your eyes and swung the bat. Like, you had an idea in your head, but
I told you exactly what was going to happen and why.
Oh no, you nailed it. You nailed it. But the fact that Punk has turned out to be this guy is still crazy. Mine was actually an easier prediction because really, if you'd watched her work at all, saying I think she's going to figure it all out, it was kind of easy. Like, because from the second she showed up in the Mae Young, you were like, oh yeah, this girl's awesome. Is she going to put it all together? it's kind of like it's probably already a 70-30 proposition, because if someone looks that good that early, they're probably going to be smart enough to figure it out. Punk, your take was way crazier, because he had now shown over the last 10 years basically erratic behavior that would give you no reason to think he would become the ultimate team player who's friendly with everyone and shows up to everything. So in some ways, I give you more credit. But I'll tell you this, though. Yours still has a higher chance for an ending that doesn't work out than mine. I'm confident. Mine is never going off the rails. Like, she's got it. This is it now. She is
only up from here.
It's only up. Like, as long as she is able to wrestle, Rhea's going to be big time and get better and better and better and be awesome. Punk, I think it's all going to be good. But if there was a day where we heard CM Punk showed up and wasn't happy with blah, blah, like, it's still got to be in him, man. We all change. Listen, I tell you guys, I do it more on one ep. Like, I'm done responding to when people say blah, blah. And then, listen, the right thing gets said and all of a sudden it comes out.
You got to reset that counter, like the LaGreca rant.
Exactly. And all you can do is reset the counter. And the other great story that I told on the Patreon episode, patreon.com/staymage. And by the way, even while on vacation this week, we're going to knock out a watch along at some point. But I was sitting with Wade Barrett doing the post show, which, if you haven't watched it, it was a lot of fun. Go check it out. And we did like 15 minutes up front, which was probably my favorite part on air the whole weekend, because we were really able to like break down SummerSlam and had like room to talk and like not toss to packages, just really break it down.
Yeah.
And then eventually we get to Cody's presser, and someone asked about Pharaoh. And man, when Cody started talking about that dog, Bear and Pharaoh are the same age. So when I met Pharaoh on Saturday,
first time,
I was petting Pharaoh. By the way, you have never seen cleaner teeth and gums on a third. That is a rich dog. I just want to.
I was going to say, what do you expect? Do you see Cody?
Go ahead.
How put together he is? Of course, Pharaoh's going to be.
Yeah, no. Pharaoh was a rich dog. I'll tell you, I love Bear. Bear, all due respect, your mouth and teeth do not look like this dog. So I'm like, how old is Pharaoh? And he's like 13. I'm like, wow, Bear's 13. I literally got a little emotional just then when I realized that this dog was out there doing all this stuff. And it reminded me of Bear in the sense that I always have Bear everywhere with me. And so I was already like very excited about Pharaoh and the whole thing. Then in the presser, when he starts telling the story of going through hard times and Pharaoh being there for him, obviously, you guys all know. I don't have to tell you. The Other Side podcast coming soon. Bear's been there through everything. And I'm getting emotional. And I take my earpiece out. And I'm like, I'm like, Wade, sorry. He's so on Drew's dick that I confuse them sometimes. Yeah. So I said, Wade, man, I got to tell you, man, this Cody thing, if we were on the air right now, I'd be crying, man. I love my dog so much. And Wade is not working. We are not. It's Stu Bennett at this point. He's not Wade. We're not on camera. And he just goes, I hate my bloody dog.
And why do you have it?
He goes, it's my wife's dog. I went, yo, if you had said that on camera, it was the most heel. It was like a 1989 heel thing to say. Who hates their dog?
Yeah. Way better.
I popped so big. I thought it was the funniest thing I've ever heard in my life. Shout out to that guy. He's so good. But anyways, yeah, the Cody Pharaoh thing sent me through a loop. So SGG did, first of all, did the Roman thing, do you have any criticism at all of the Roman return? Would you have done it any differently at all? Or was it exactly what you would have wanted?
I would not have changed the music. And I know that the music is supposed to signal to us mentally that this is a different guy and he's not this bad guy that we associate that music with. But this is the first time we've seen him since WrestleMania. I would have kept the music exactly the same as the last time we saw him and then change it on a SmackDown or at the next PLE or something else. But for this big moment.
Wait, was it changed altogether?
Yeah. It was complete. It was sort of like, it was similar to the old music, but it was definitely a remix, and I would not have touched it at all.
Yeah, you could have. Okay, I thought all they did, because it was happening fast. I didn't remember properly. I thought they just added like a sound to the beginning and then dropped it into the song. I didn't realize they remixed the song.
Yeah, it was like a remix, and it did feel big. It definitely felt like a stadium remix, but the fans are used to.
Well, we'll see what happens Friday, I guess.
Yeah, hopefully it's back, or maybe that is the music. I don't know, but I wouldn't have touched the music at all. And then yeah, I feel like I would have had him track down that Ula Fala that Solo had and take that back, because I don't know what happened to it after Solo started the match.
Like take it right in the moment.
Yeah, I would have had him track that down and say, this one's for me.
Okay, those are fair criticism. I thought here's what's interesting. I wonder, was it intended to play out the exact way that it did, or was it thrown off because something happened to Jacob Fatu's leg?
That is a really good question. Because Jacob Fatu, like when he hit the splash and he starts reacting in a way that I was just like, you could tell something was wrong. You could tell, like he was throwing the chair, like he can't get up. He tries to.
Yeah, like why would you be doing that? It doesn't make sense for you to sell that hard. Like you're a heel, like you're selling the injury almost too much.
Yeah, and then they show the replay, and I'm like, oh, his ankle definitely looks like it looks like it hits the edge of the table, and I don't know what that feels like, but I just imagine it can't be good. And so, but
wait, how about this? Jacob Fatu's SummerSlam 2024 injury spot was reportedly planned.
Damn good work if it was a work.
Wow. A video came out Sunday showing him walking with a walking boot. Wow, according to them, the spot with. Wow, that's very interesting. If that was planned and it was just a way so he wasn't able to get after Roman, because they
damn good work.
No, because it now it makes sense, because they wouldn't want Roman to take him out. They would want to protect him. They wouldn't want him to just catch a spear or a Superman punch. Not when everyone thinks Jacob Fatu is the guy. Like, and I say this delicately because Solo's awesome, but it seems like momentum-wise, there may be even more excitement around Roman and Jacob Fatu one day.
There is.
So that would mean, and by the way, the one who has to catch it is Solo, obviously, right? He's the one who's been talking ish. Jacob Fatu has not. So if that was just a brilliant sell job, wow, that's super interesting.
There's speculation online that Jacob Fatu is actually on Roman's side. So that lends itself to that as well, because sure, Jacob Fatu has done some evil things, including attacking Heyman, but him and Roman have never touched. Then and if they don't, then that possibility is still up in the air.
Meltzer confirmed that Fatu's announcer's table splash was intended to write him out of the rest of the match. And for good reason, as WWE didn't want any interactions between Fatu and Roman Reigns. Wow. Oh, this is big. I just got a text message from Kamala Harris. Whoa.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, can I tell you, by the way, they need to chill.
With the text?
Yeah, bruh. It's no matter how much I hit stop, they come at me from other angles.
Oh, nah.
And by the way, I've given them money twice. I'm done.
That's why they're not stopping. That second one is why they're not stopping. They're like, see? Maybe there's a third.
SUG's like, that's a problem I don't have.
Exactly.
Oh, well, that's interesting, man. Look at that. All right, man. I'll tell you right. That is good work from Jacob Fatu, and also from them booking that match, because that's interesting, because like they had to get him. That's cool stuff. So I'm super stoked to see SmackDown It makes SmackDown must see. I love that Roman gave us a little bit of slow walk, a little bit of fast walk, and then a run at the end. Because I went on my friend Jonathan Zaslow's podcast. Shout out to the Zaslow Show. Great guy out of Miami who does a sports talk, works with Levitard, and he does a wrestling podcast. And the reason he didn't think Roman was coming back is he was like, how do you bring back Roman Reigns? And in this sort of context, he walks too slow.
Yeah, that was a good point.
And I was like, you know what? You're right. He was like, you can't have him sprinting like John Cena. Like, that's not Roman Reigns. And I was like, wow. And they figured it out. They found like a in between, and then the last 30 feet, maybe 50 feet, he runs and hits the slide in. It was the biggest. I just would love to ask him what it felt like, because as many great reactions as he's gotten, that was number one with a bullet.
You think so? I mean, listen,
I think his was the biggest one of all time.
That was one of the biggest ooh-ahs of all time. But I mean, in terms of reactions, though, he's got "I'm in remission, y'all." He's got "This is my yard now," which is up there in terms of just like, it was 10 minutes and he didn't say anything, and the crowd is just booing.
That's true too, but this feels different.
This does feel different. I mean, it's tribal chief. Everything
it feels getting. I got news for you. I mean, Roman getting booed in that time, it wasn't quite the same as, like, say, the way Dominic gets booed. Like, this feels way better, I'm sure. Having the whole crowd cheer for you is, and because you've earned it over the, like, you earned these cheers because you were so good at being a bad guy. Because SGG, I'm telling you, most people aren't you. They didn't love him the whole time. And at times they sincerely hated him and thought it go away. And
Psychopaths, all of them.
And then he makes it to this version of the tribal chief, and he was so damn good at it that they've been waiting. Like, you know what? We owe you this cheer. So I think this one probably hit differently. Remission, it shows like love. Obviously, we care about you as a human being. That's very nice.
Yeah, because they went back to booing him like 2 weeks later.
Right, exactly. This is my yard. The booing that night, that's one thing. Yo, I took y'all through the pandemic. 4 years, 4.5 years, the best work of my career. I'm the number one guy now. That had to hit different.
Yeah. And I mean,
again, you and I can argue about this. I don't know that I needed the OTC shirt before he's even said a word. It's small. It's not a big deal. I didn't need it.
I don't think we needed it before we know what it means. Because now
it's so weird.
I'm like, is it the one true chief? Is it the original tribal chief? Is it the one tribal chief? Like, is it?
By the way, like,
does he have a pharmaceutical deal? Is it just over the counter? Like, we don't know.
It's a great point by you, SGG. I'm glad that we're on the same page, because I didn't think much about it. I didn't sit there like pounding my fist, annoyed. It was fine, but I just thought this is one of those situations where if he had just shown up wearing whatever he wanted that looked cool, it would have worked. Like, he didn't need a t-shirt to promote in this exact moment. Like, you're back to kick ass. You're not stopping at the merch table to get the shirt you need. He could have showed up wearing just a black hoodie. You know what I mean? He could have done whatever he wanted.
He could have wore the head of the table shirt.
Or just worn his old shirt.
Yeah. He could have worn the wreck everyone and leave shirt.
And then usually what they do is, you go on TV and you say that line, "I'm the original tribal chief," and then the next day the shirt's for sale. Like, it was just a little odd. But this is very nitpicky. It was overall a really good show. I said this again on the Patreon, and if you want to go hear that journey in the car, it's a fun listen. And I went through every single match if you want to hear that. But listen, the amount of stuff that they do at these events now, it's going to be a really interesting period. I don't know if this is the future forever. Maybe this is just a limited time. We don't know, right? Like, no one knows what's going to happen, okay? But in this period, what's very clear is these big weekends are going to be filled with a multitude of events, all kinds of different localized merch. Like, it's an interesting and fun time to be a fan. And it was a great weekend in Cleveland.
Before we get out of here, though, too, speaking of, you kicked off the weekend with that Damian Priest the live show,
Yes.
Gunther shows up. Can you tell us about that?
Well, by the way, that was all they showed on TV was that Gunther showed up at the end. First of all, the documentary's out. It's great. It is shockingly good. You know, like considering like Damian Priest, you'd be like, do I really need to see a documentary on Damian Priest? Like he just bought them spending the time on him in the indies and then him making it to, and you kind of forget how much has happened in just the last few years. And he's just a charming guy. It's a really, really good doc. But yeah, Dom and Rhea were there, obviously, but also surprise, CM Punk showed up, and I brought
Special
CM Punk.
guest.
I brought CM Punk out, and so I got to interview Punk and Priest together. Then after that, the Judgment Day came out. We had a ball, and then at the end, we went to take questions. Gunther shows up, talks his ish. Priest talks his ish. It was a lot of fun. I think it was meant to be used on SmackDown, but I don't think it was. It ended up on the Countdown show, though.
Okay, that's what I thought. That's what I thought.
They showed a long piece on the Countdown show. And so that was super cool, man.
I like the visual of Gunther, like with the story being sort of a class warfare. I like the visual of Gunther literally looking down.
Awesome. You pointed that out in text. It's such a good point. That visual was stupendous.
Yeah. And I have to ask too before you get out of here. So when I ran into Cody, I did my part, WrestleMania. I said, we need you on Cheap Heat. Did you tell Punk that we need him on this podcast, or did you just let him?
No, I did not. I did not go for it yet, only because he's done so much recently. Like he last week did some media, and then we were here, and then I know he's doing the Fanatics.
Right.
But I am going to tell you know what, it's time because we haven't had to sit down with him since his return.
Yeah, and
I haven't interviewed him in like 10 years.
The Spendrifts is on me. The muffins on me.
The what?
The muffins in the seltzer water. The
What do you mean?
Spendrifts.
Yeah, what do you mean? Oh, okay.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah, I don't remember if it was.
I'll go LaCroix if you know.
Yeah, whatever his flavor. No, muffins are important though, of course.
Yeah, the muffins.
All right, Rosenberg Wrestling at gmail.com or hang out in the Discord, of course. And that Patreon, we will be back with another Patreon episode later this week. Patreon.com/StayMage. SGG, do me a favor and stay mage yourself.
And take it easy, man.